I'm going to call this meeting of the Isla Vista Community Services District Policy Committee to order at 6:03 p.m. I will announce that this meeting is being recorded. Here. Land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Anaskoya, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue the tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties to continue our relationship with mutual respect and understanding. Moving on to the public comment period. At this time, any member of the public can speak on matters in the subject matter jurisdiction of the policy committee that are not on the agenda. They will not take action on any item not on the agenda by law. Discussion actions. Public tree distribution policy preliminary discussion. Committee level discussion. Distribution policy.
Okay.
You just told me that we should do that in a second. That was.
It's okay.
I apparently buffered it because I remember you not saying that.
I actually thought it. I didn't say it.
Oh,
okay.
It was not said.
No, I'm serious. I didn't say it.
Okay.
But I was thinking it.
So that'll be there. Okay.
But no, it's okay. Jamie's not able to make it, I think. So, but Jenna is here and she's done some research on the topic, and we can just get your guys' initial thoughts on this anyways, and have Jamie at the next one to talk more in depth about it. But I did speak to her about the gift of public funds issue, and it's not a gift of public funds. You can make a finding as the board that if there's a public benefit to having more shade.
You're saying that the county has a pattern of telling us things are gifts of public funds that are not just public funds.
Yeah, we can decide things are not. We have to have a reason, and public benefit reason. But if we had a reason, it would not be a gift of public funds. And Jenna's done some looking into the county of LA has a program that's similar to the one we've talked about like 7 years ago. So she's on the call. I don't know, Jenna, if you want to share what you learned about the LA program.
Well, it looks like they are doing a tree distribution program. And I believe that they're helping to maintain the trees and educate about them and plant them. And I know that that's something that your children's trees did want to help with in the past. And I think they would still be interested in something like that. But as far as like the types of trees and shrubbery, the county has pretty strict guidelines, so we don't have to worry so much about that. But I know, Jonathan, that you were talking about potentially it might not be okay for us to actually bring the trees to people, but that they might have to come get them from us.
Yeah, they have to pick them up. Like a tree distribution day, and we have them all in the parking lot.
Yeah, I think something like that would be great. Sorry. Yeah, I think something like that would be great. And your children's trees, even if we don't decide to partner with them, I know that they have come up with a maintenance plan in the past, and we definitely have the staff to help maintain, I mean, at the very least 3 trees per year to help and get them established.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah. Do you guys have any? I know, Jay, you've been thinking about this for a while. So do you have any thoughts on? I guess we can take your thoughts and then start drafting this.
Well, so my question is, so it's called the public tree distribution policy, but folks will be coming to our location and picking up the tree. So I'm confused whether that becomes public or private.
You have a book distribution at the library. Is it okay if people come pick up the books?
Yes, it would be trees from private property. So
okay.
Yeah, it's not like public street trees.
Oh, I see. It's public. I'm sorry.
Because the title of the item was public tree, but so we're not doing public
street trees. Yeah,
not street trees.
It's like we make trees available
for the public of the people, meaning.
Yeah,
Got it.
publicly available, maybe is better, but
Okay.
yeah, they can plant it in their, front yard
Got it.
and then create shade that way.
Perfect. That answers my exact question. My first thought, it's not like a helpful for the policy standpoint, but I just thought how great it would be if we gave away trees to the public like this and included a huge bag, not a huge, but a proper bag of compost. And it'd be the ultimate connection of our ecosystem here in Isla Vista. Not a part of the policy, but just a pipe dream.
I was also picturing there being big bags of compost there. I'm totally on board.
So do we imagine it would be the renter residents deciding I want to plant a tree at my 6 Pasado house that has a nice backyard? Or do we imagine that there's going to be some process where we have to have acceptance from the landlords and they get in the way or possibly slow us down?
I mean, I think it would have to be the landowners.
Who would be the deciders or the public?
I feel like that's already
Like the landowners
essentially-
would be the only ones that can pick them up?
Yeah.
and plant it in my front yard. Yeah, and so we might though need to have a mechanism or some kind of statement that you are not allowed to pick up a tree unless you have somewhere that you are legitimately allowed to plant.
Yeah,
That's I thought of
there
that
we go.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, that covers our
Tree
base.
is- The policy specifies the tree was outside and is maybe, visible from the street, or at least visible from the street.
I think it would need to say that you plan to plant it visible from the street. Like this is what LA's graphic is. So it's like this tree, the Parkway, is in the county right of way, in a way. I mean, because it's bordering the sidewalk, so that the shade is hitting the sidewalk. But this is a private tree.
Yeah.
And that they call it Parkway tree, private tree.
And so we're talking about private trees.
No, Parkway.
We're talking about Parkway trees.
Yeah, so it can provide shade to the sidewalks.
Okay.
But I believe the advantage here would be that we probably don't need an encroachment permit because it's technically on private property.
Or help them get the permit. We're not allowed to get permits. Are we allowed to get permits?
No.
Apply to the Parkway area because that's on their property.
Well, our power has to do with getting permission from the owners to maintain.
Wouldn't that be owner from the building? I was wondering, I just think, we really not have under that authority of our ability.
Yeah,
to,
I don't know.
do we
I
not
mean-
give them a permit to put a tree there?
I don't know. I don't think so. Just because I don't know enough about planning codes and everything. Is there
This is partly a question to Q for
Yeah.
Jamie, right?
Yeah.
This is
how does the permitting work? Maybe you don't need a permit to plant a tree on your property, and then you can just do it. But I don't know.
But for context, my original interest in this had been from the perspective of when people were putting in sidewalks, we would end up removing lots of trees. And then those new trees that in the community, but when you walk down the street, it feels like there are no trees anymore. And so how can we figure out how to get trees distributed through everything? And so the reason why then we provide the context before my question here is that Is the thought process, the context of this coming up, something relating to when trees are removed, or is this something where we're just thinking of having a yearly, let's send out some trees day and try to get some trees out there?
Well, we
And-
wouldn't remove trees.
Yeah, because if it is in
Yeah.
if it is in this form, when we're not really removing the tree, we do sort of have the overlapping power with the county, and the county does seem to be willing to give us a lot more, not control, but like a lot more influence in the decision of where these sidewalks go and how they end up happening. And I wasn't certain, maybe the idea whether we'd be collaborating with them on taking over the tree retreeing part of the whole thing. And then like the question from there is whether that then gets attached to any kind of like a funding thing where they would canvas the money that they would be spending on the trees that then we would be using in order to buy the trees that we were giving to people, or is the idea that we're constructing a new program de novo here based upon the funding that we have, we're going to start buying trees and handing to people. Again, I want trees. It's a big priority for me, so I'm not like I'm okay with. I just want to know what's the idea here. What are we trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be both.
Yeah.
It could be both because we are more involved in sidewalk things, and yeah, we'd have to establish all these things for sure. But I think we're starting today.
How many trees do we think in 1 year could the district provide for the public?
I don't know how expensive trees are.
Tree-
Are they hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars,
Well, I'm
tens of thousands
wondering-
of dollars?
I'm thinking that the limit is not on cost, but more on
Like
like,
under $100.
Wait, really?
Well, it
Okay.
depends what size of tree you're
Yeah.
getting, but
Okay.
like realistically, you're probably not spending more.
All right.
well, so I'm thinking the issue is more on the area we
I've
have,
looked into it.
the area we have to get like, or the area the public has to plant trees. More so than it is like cost prohibitive for us as a district. I'm imagining it's more like the space prohibition, like not like someone stopping us, but like we might not have enough people who have like a game plan for their tree. And so, yeah,
And so that's something that Jenna mentioned. There's this group, Jay would remember. There's this group called Your Children's Trees. He's come to the board a few times asking to
I
like,
interned for them.
oh, you interned?
Yeah.
They had a lot of proposals for us, and we signed on essentially for grants with them, and we didn't win any of the grants. So that's what happened. And but there were like different ideas of like, oh, we could plant these trees here, but they were all public right-of-way trees. Got it. And then the volunteers that would be, help funded by the grant would be helping maintain the trees for a certain period of time.
even the ones that are not
In the
public right
project,
away.
this is like the old,
Okay, okay.
like old ideas. We could come up with new ideas with these trees and see if they would want to collaborate in this new way. But that's what we had proposed before. We also didn't have a plan for maintenance of those public right-of-way trees beyond the grant at the time, which gave the board some hesitation a little bit. We did sign on still, but there was that open question of who would maintain the trees. If it's on private property, you could say, property, like we can maybe start you up. We'll help you maintain it for 3 years to get it healthy and established, and then it's up to you after that. That can be part of our policy. Like we distribute 3 trees, we support them for 3 years.
I do know that Your Children's Trees could definitely help us budget for like a few years of maintenance. I thought that they had, which I'll look for that document, but they could probably pretty accurately budget for that. Also, as far as grants, I was pretty shocked that we didn't get any of the grants when they applied, but I think that if we try again, we have a pretty good chance.
Wondering if there's any. You didn't have any more specific question for us.
No, I guess since Jamie wasn't able to be here, I just thought we could just have this early discussion and I can get her the discussion notes.
I definitely have more thoughts, but I'm trying to organize them. I'm thinking like, do we need to carve out space for certain like businesses? So like a tree that I'm pretty sure that like Jay and I both noticed pretty quickly when it lost a tree is the Isla Vista Food Co-op. And I don't know if they'd be willing or they're even interested in replacing a tree on their map, but like their footprint of land, but you know, they could be in a business example, someone who would like, well, we want to replant a tree somewhere else where the public gets to enjoy it, not necessarily the parks like the way the county is doing, but like some other Isla Vista area. Because I assume some of these like private entities are cutting down trees just for maintenance and nuisance issues, which is a bummer to me personally, but some of those trees are landmarks and like, I don't know. Part of this policy I want is like to protect the tree, like to enshrine a way to protect certain trees.
Can we use our street side landscaping power in order to put in an ordinance that says we will not remove a tree without talking to us?
I can ask Jamie. I don't think we have. We're not a city.
That's like
that's
another pipe
a
dream.
city
Like,
could do that.
I think just like a couple of feet away, the other side of the food co-op like land border is where there's the more historic tree. Where there's a pole next to the tree that's like some of these, I swear, some of these trees in Isla Vista like have more historical significance. And so I like want this policy to also reflect that, or maybe some of the trees that are planted now could be given like more, they could be a bigger tree and they could have more importance or something, and they have more like symbolic meaning to the community than some of the other more free-for-all trees, which are great too, but I'm thinking of, yeah. I would like to, also, I think it would be fun to like, for the three of us who are like working on this together to look at the list of the like approved trees for Santa Barbara, whatever that list is. Just because I have no concept. I know that's kind of in the weeds, but it's something I'm curious about.
Jenna's been working on a native plan. Yes, do you have something like that, Jenna, that we can send to them?
I do. I have the list of approved trees for the public right of way. And as far as, I mean, yeah, I'm right with you, Marcos. I think it could be cool to have some plaques near some of the trees that we plant. But if not, I think it would be awesome to take a look at the ordinances that are in regards to what trees are allowed to be cut down and what happens to those trees when they are cut down.
Got it. And then another fold I think is going to be important in policies, like as we approach improving lighting in more areas of Isla Vista, certain like there's gonna have to be tree height limitations.
That's
like,
a really good point.
I thought I'm looking at the like this Santa Barbara City Parks and Rec, and they have like a graphic borrowed from the Arbor Day Foundation, but also in talking with one of my neighbors, he had like very firm opinions on like the way the trees can like enhance the night sky and keep the light down on the ground, which is like our goal with lighting. And I feel like these issues could either help each other or harm each other. And we're smart enough as a district to like make them help each other. Yeah.
For reference sake, because I had to both see the picture and hear the description to understand what's going on. In neither was efficient.
Because this picture,
he's got a picture of a street light, and then below it is a tree. So
yeah, that's a big problem. Is that we have a lot of lights that don't get to the ground.
But I would assume when we're talking night sky, you want the tree to be above.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
particular
exactly.
graph is counterintuitive to that concept.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll work on this. Good to have your thoughts, and we'll see where our tree policy goes.
all right. there any public input?
No.
All right, moving on to 3.2, commendations policy, preliminary discussion. The committee will have a discussion on the commendations policy and direction discussion.
And Carrie did send me a draft policy just a couple hours ago that I attached. She named it the Unsung Heroes of Iowa Vista Policy. And so
I've read it.
you've read it, okay. And so the policy just goes over the nature of the program, that there would be no more than 2 people nominated a month, that the vice president of the board would be tasked with managing this process, that anyone can nominate, and that the vice president will review the nominations and make a decision on consult with 1 to 2 board members to make sure it's a good person to nominate, and that it would be other little details that would come on a special paper and thing that would be on our website. But yeah, this reflects the conversation we had, and I think it's we can work off this. We don't have to.
I ended up liking policy that was drafted.
Yeah.
There were various concerns about how the extent to which my involvement could draft it into it during the course of the meeting, and she managed to pull all of that off in a way that's not going to make me have to personally feel awkward at any point, being like you say. There was a version of this where it was going to be each one of the board members was essentially be on the hook for a particular week. And like your job, Marco, is to find somebody to give an award to. And I was like,
That would be
that
easy,
is-
but
oh God, I'm gonna have to choose an award. So, I was very happy with this because it gives anyone who wants to an opportunity to try to give awards, but it does not put people specifically on the hook for no, you got to figure it out this week, or everyone's gonna wonder why there's no Marcos.
I'm hearing your comments and not knowing it previously. I also appreciate this doesn't obligate the district to honoring someone just to meet quota. And so then it would make the honor itself more valuable. I think it would be easy for us to come up with the maximum per month for a while. And that won't dilute it. But I think the idea of it being obligated to board members would possibly dilute it. This version seems to just like open the field for like, we have a list, it's growing, you're allowed to do this, it gets approval from other board members, and then it makes itself to a true value.
I also think it's interesting that it gives the vice president position the task as opposed to merely, and I say that because I mean, as somebody who became the vice president of the, and now the president, but they became the vice president of the local chapter of the California Special District Association without realizing there was a task associated with it. and as it turns out, apparently there's tasks that are associated with vice presidencies of these things. Now there's a task associated with it. So, because otherwise it had this feeling of like, sometimes it's like, hopefully the president will not be there one day, so you get an opportunity to do something with your title. It's like, no, yeah. So I like those aspects.
I also really like the roster of honorees on the website. I like that a lot. Yeah. I don't think there's any other like award beyond the printed award.
And also, I know I said this, but like, if you guys are liking it as is, we can take this to the board sooner rather than later too. What?
As we stare at a little more carefully. Signed by all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't want to do that. I'm actually just like, If a board member is not there that day, do we
And
hold
we
it
arrange it, yeah.
until, or you arrange it separately from?
I don't know. Really don't know how the county does it. And like, what if you do vote no, which could be an unusual circumstance. You can't find it. I don't know. I can check how the county's process works for that kind of stuff. I think they just have the signatures pre-done on like maybe multiple sheets and you just print it on the top part and then the bottom stay the same.
One time at LAFCO that I'm involved in something similar, we actually wet signed the thing. But
In the meeting.
yeah. But it was just the president, not the
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just like, there's like sort of some practical things about like how we handle the signatures for that. We're gonna frame it, so the signatures would have to be done before the meeting, so we can frame it before handing it to them.
Yeah,
Or we're gonna quickly frame it in some activity.
I think what we would do on the staff side is like we'd buy a bunch of frames.
Yeah.
And we'd have the special, Spencer was volunteered to design the page itself. We'd have a template, I think. I don't know if the policy ended up saying this, but I think we discussed that in the meeting was that it would have not too many whereas clauses. It would be like a shorter, like we don't have to have like 3 pages. And then so we would have just an easy template that we could print off, we put in the frame. So we'd know by the Thursday or Wednesday before the board meeting that one is coming. And then we just have it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it, like, so then the process might be, in one version of this, during the meeting, we stop, we pause, we pass the thing around, everyone signs it, and then like, Isabel's sitting there messing with the frame, trying to get the thing in while we're trying to get I don't know, that's why I was just thinking about the mechanics of getting the thing into the frame and then hand it to the person who's gonna leave. So
You're gonna say for the whole meeting.
Why would they ever want to leave?
I kind of meant as opposed to them showing up the next day and picking it up. It's like, they're gonna expect to have it that day.
Yeah, we don't want to create extra work for them either.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just have you guys, most people get here like before the meeting starts. So we have you sign before the meeting.
But then
Like,
that
you can
turns into the
text all
awkwardness
of
of whether
us.
we are making a decision about the thing in the process of signing the act. And so, because like that'd be considered part of there's an action you're about to take, which is to make this declaration. But you all seem to be looking at each other, watching each other sign it. So
That could be around that.
yeah.
I can ask someone.
Yeah, so that's now that you forced me to really actually by threatening to bring this to the board and making me actually stare at all the sentences. That's the one comma separated like area, or I guess 2, the signed by and framed, and I'm a little bit trying to figure out the mechanics of it. But otherwise, I'm great with it.
I wanted to. That was serious. I wanted to add in the 3rd paragraph about nominations, like a capacity for the public to nominate, but not like something as boring as like a form online, but more so like the member of the public wants to nominate another member of the public.
They have to do a special dance.
No, they have to like email a board member and say like, I really think that this person should be nominated for this reason. And then we have this due diligence part, which I think is important as well. But then it's like, where it's another way of engaging the public in our processes.
So it might be useful, I could see, to have that sentence there, but I will say that the policy as written has that property. If I was a member of the public and I wanted to nominate somebody, well, I can't do it directly. What I'd do is I'd be like, hey, I know Olivia. Hey, Olivia, can you get this person nominated? And then Olivia would go and talk to Carrie and get and send in the nomination, and essentially sponsoring the nomination on behalf of that member of the public. So it already has that property.
It does have that. I see now it says nominations to be made via a link on the website.
Oh, I actually apparently, okay, so I'm sorry, no, I missed what I was describing isn't what the policy says.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're suddenly clicking is actually a misunderstanding. Yeah, I thought it was nominations we made by another board member.
That's how I read it the first time too. Now, when we got in the weeds, I see that it's open. I kind of, part of me wants it to. No, we don't want to, I'm thinking of in past versions of like our policy discussion, we haven't wanted to limit the public's participation, so I feel like I want to rescind my idea, so I don't want to.
I didn't actually feel like, I mean, maybe misunderstood. I think when you originally saying that we wanted members of the public to be able to nominate people by asking the board member?
Yes,
Okay.
but right now, the way it's currently written, they can do it without us.
Without, but it's still gonna go to a board member.
Yeah.
In some sense.
It's going to one board member.
Who will consult with others.
At least one other.
At least
Not more than two.
Nope.
it's in the
Yeah.
next paragraph, so they have to talk to one
Yeah.
another.
It does say that. Okay, then it is already like that, because it's just whoever the vice president is.
What I
I
was,
think the form's a good idea. I think it just like lowers the bar to entry. I think a lot of people
Exactly.
don't like sending emails.
They'll get kind of intimidated by the
Mhm.
request, possibly.
Yeah, it's easy to just send the form in.
Exactly.
you're right, I didn't use the same email. I don't even like you. So okay, so then the thought I'm having is that, so let's say that somebody annoying nominates somebody annoying, who knows, definition of annoying you want to take. Then it would, and then like, according to this, it then becomes Carrie's job to explain to that random member of the public why she thinks that is not an okay thing to do. Are we okay?
If they get pushy about it, they could be like, our policy doesn't say that like every nomination will be, it just says this nominations will be monitored.
Well, it says if the VP doesn't believe it is appropriate to honor the nominee, they will contact the nominator and inform
I see, I keep not reading the whole paragraph.
them.
I used to be good at that. I mean, I wouldn't want that to be my job, but
Yeah, when I first had read it and it was board members are able to nominate, it felt, and I misunderstood and did not catch that it was anyone can do the nomination. It felt a little bit easier job to be the person who
I think it's real.
why that person. And if Olivia had taken that nomination, member of the poll, now she's on the hook for that, and I feel like that's wrong. So like,
I think it's important that the form and the link stay open to the public to like make whatever nomination it is, even if we get like people doing it in jest. And I don't know, I feel like it's delivering bad news is one of just the essential duties of a director in politics. Sometimes you didn't win this nomination.
Yeah, I guess if somebody really wanted to, they can then come to public comment. Let's put a commendation for this person on the next agenda. People agree. I mean, but I mean, like, that's for anything too. It's like for any agenda item. Like if somebody came and they wanted agenda item X and they came to you and you were like, no, we shouldn't put this on the agenda. It's not what that shouldn't be the president's powers to put things on the agenda. But if they came and got board members to agree during that item, technically that is another route around it. I don't remember what our policy for putting things on the agenda is, but it essentially says that. It says like the general manager and president put together the agenda,
but two board members.
but two, yeah. $120 before the meeting time. It's hard to understand, to be honest. Any member of the public may request that a matter directly related to this your business be placed on the agenda. The process for that. And so actually we do not have the two board members, but that is a standard practice in a lot of other local governments.
What is her?
It just says a board member can submit it to the general manager. So it's open. You don't need a second. But the president still decides. There's no short circuit around that situation, like a person in the minority wants to listen. So lots of boards have that. We have that at City College, like the 2 board members can request. It's San Barbara City Council. I could figure out the signature thing. I just asked somebody at the county, but I'm sure I'll get an answer tomorrow. But that's more of a process question or like a implementation question than a policy question. So it's good to say that in the policy, right?
Well, if in analysis of the implementation, we decide that it's actually ridiculous to simultaneously have us all sign it and frame it, then that might change the policy.
It might, yeah. Okay, I'll keep an eye on it, but I'll see and I'll try to figure out a way where we can implement this without having it be too much.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to, public comment on this agenda. All right, moving on to future meeting dates and future agenda items. The next regular meeting, the policy committee will take place on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 6 p.m. on Zoom and at the community room at 970 Embarcadero Del Mar, Isla Vista, California.
Okay, I have some future agenda items for you guys.
We actually do this specifically.
So me and Jamie talked the other day, and one thing that the board discussed a couple months ago that we have a draft in the works for is the claims, like Government Claims Act responses. So we're gonna bring a resolution to the policy committee it's a policy / resolution, either way you want to call it, but we'll bring that to the next policy committee meeting to hopefully pass in May. But we're working on that. But in the same conversation, Jamie said that, what's standard practice at other cities, not other cities, but what's standard practice on claims is that you just tie the maximum claims that the city attorney and general manager can kind of decide on their own to be the same as what the contract spending authority is for the city general manager. But then she said, oh, well, ours is pretty low here, 1,500, so like claims would still end up coming to the board. So she suggested we take them both together, like we look, which has been on our list anyways, the spending authority, which is 1,500 right now. So we'll take both. We'll look at the new spending authority and the claims resolution, so then we just use the same number in both. But yeah, those are 2 that I know are coming next meeting.
All right.
Well, I'll just bring up one more just while we're here. Finance committee yesterday was talking about the budget, and one of the things that came up was implementing fees for the community spaces use beyond. Right now it's pretty much free for everybody, and so and looking at the budget and how to help problem solve that, one of the ideas is creating some small use fee for the different kinds of events. So we're going to be working on that. I don't know if it'll be ready for next policy committee, but it'll be ready at one of the committees.
Okay. Any members of the public have any challenges on that? Any questions about our meeting dates? No, thanks. Nothing. Moving on to adjourn. We're just going to adjourn it. Adjourn it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm going to call this meeting adjourned at 6:42 p.m.
Yeah, we used to motion to adjourn all the.
I was about to say.